Unpopular opinions and things you already know to be true. This is going to be a weird one. It's also weird because we're outside, sitting on my back porch. Let's start off with something real simple. Mind-muscle connection. Oh, that's bullshit. It's not real. And you'll hear, science-based experts. They're science, so it means it's infallible. There's never been a mistake in science ever. And science is never, ever wrong about anything. Ever. And so the mind-muscle connection it's complete and utter bullshit, right? But you know this. You know that it's real because you've experienced it. You've felt it. And I'm going to compare it to like being in the zone. The being in the zone is complete and utter bullshit. You ever play sports? There's no such thing as being in the zone because we can't measure it. But, goddamn, if you're an athlete, you know exactly what it is to fucking be in the zone. You've had that game where you were like, damn, I was in the zone. Like, everything just felt right. Everything just clicked. You had that great basketball game where you were hitting fucking 3-pointers all day. Just, man, every time it went up, it was like, boom, perfect, every time. Or you were playing hockey, and it was just like, holy shit, every time I touched the puck, I just, breakaway or whatever. It was this game of your life, right? You were in the zone. A boxing match, an MMA fight, whatever it was, you were dialed in. But we can't measure that, so it's not real. The zone doesn't exist. You pitched a fucking no-hitter. Nah, you weren't in the zone. And that's kind of like the way I look at this whole mind-muscle connection thing. You've felt it. You've had that set where it was like, shit. Like, I felt this. Something clicked. And you just really felt it. It just connected. And you can't quantify it. And it's hard to explain it to other people. But if you've experienced it, then you know exactly what the hell it is. It's kind of like trying to explain sex to a virgin. You can kind of explain it, but they're not going to fucking get it. It's like trying to explain combat to someone who's never been in combat. You can explain it, but they're not going to fucking get it. The same thing is true of the mind-muscle connection. Though the mind-muscle connection isn't real, the fuck it ain't. And pretty much every top-level lifter you talk to can tell you that they've felt it at some point. Okay? Now, I don't have a magic trick for you. I can't tell you how to do it every time, because if I could, I would be doing it every time. And I don't. In fact, I would tell you most of my sets kind of feel, I kind of feel it a little bit, but not great. But, you do have that workout every once in a while where it's like, damn, everything just fucking clicked. So, the mind-muscle connection. Unpopular opinion, but I think it's a real thing. So, and it's a real thing. You know it is. I don't care what the science-based people tell you. You know what you know. There are times where you went into the gym and it just fucking clicked. All right. Let's move forward from that one. Training to failure. Oh, you don't need to train to failure. That's an interesting sentence. You don't need to train to failure. And that's true. You don't need to train to failure. You have to train pretty fucking close to failure. And if you've never trained to failure, how do you know that you're close to failure? If you've never taken a set of squats to failure, how do you know when you only have 1 or 2 left in the tank? Let's say that you've always done 100 pounds for sets of 5. You're actually capable of 20, but you keep doing sets of 5 with 100 pounds. If I asked you, what's your, RPE or your reps in reserve or whatever for that set, you're like, oh, that's a 10 because I always do 5s. But if you've taken a set to failure and you've done a hard set of, 11 reps, because no one ever gets to finish on a nice even number. You did a hard set of 11 and you missed the 12th. The next time that you do 10, you're like, oh shit, this is the same feeling that I had the time I got the 11. So now you know there's only 1 rep left. You know what it feels like to get close to failure because you've trained to failure. Okay? So first off, I do think you need to train to failure, not because it's somehow superior, but I think it's so that you have an idea of what failure feels like. If you don't know what failure feels like, then how the fuck do you know that you're coming close to failure? The other thing I'm going to point out to you is, once again, I don't have a study for that. No, I don't have a study on 25 college-age untrained males to confirm this, but I would tell you that looking at the top guys who have been doing it for 20 fucking years, they're at a point where they can't make any more progress unless they train to failure. You know that huge guy at the gym? You know which one I'm talking about? The one who, like, you know, he's like 360 pounds of muscle. He's clearly on, you know, the fucking trend wagon. And he's doing bent over rows with 405 pounds. And you're like, that's too much. Is it really, though? Is it? Because if he was doing bent over rows with 315, it wouldn't be enough for him to continue growing. And so that's why he's using 405. Do you really think, you know, these elite level bodybuilders, Jay Cutler, do you think Jay Cutler is so dumb that he's using a heavier weight than he needs to? No. He's using the weight that he needs to use in order to continue to grow. Nick Walker. You think Nick Walker's dumb? Do you think Nick Walker just, oh man, he's going too heavy. It's just way too heavy. You know, no, he's using the heaviest weight because that's the one that he has to use in order to make more progress. He's at a point of, it's the law of diminishing returns. You are now so big and so fucking jacked, right? You hit that point. And you're going to have to use heavier weights and train to failure for you to make more progress at that point. It's a law of diminishing returns. So, you know, for you out there, you're 150 pounds and you're trying to put on 10 pounds of muscle, you don't need to train to failure. No shocker there. Untrained college males don't need to train to failure. But I tell you what, if you're Ronnie fucking Coleman, you're probably going to need to train very, very close to failure. Maybe not failure itself, but very close. And I would, no, I heard Jay Cutler say this. I don't think I've ever trained to failure. And maybe that's true, but I bet he trained really fucking close. He was probably like 1 or 2 reps away from failure. So, I'll tell you this. I am not calling Jay a liar, but I am going to tell you that he probably trained to failure a few times, not intentionally. But I bet that there were times where he was like, I'm going to do a set of 12, and he only got 11. Okay? And he wasn't intentionally training to failure. He wasn't like, I'm just going to do a burnout set. But I bet that at some point in his career, he was like, I'm going to go for 3 sets of 10. He got a set of 10, got a set of 9, and then got a set of 8. And so he found out what it feels like to train to failure. And so now, because he has that knowledge, for the rest of his career, he knows what it feels like when you get close to failure. Okay? So training to failure, another unpopular opinion, but I think that it is a necessity for you to train failure, not because training to failure is required for muscle growth. It is required so that you know what it feels like to come close to failure. Branched-chain amino acids. Let's go ahead down that pathway here. Branched-chain amino acids are useless, and it's all based off of a garbage paper that is literally just someone's opinion. Robert Wolf happens to own the patent for essential amino acids, so it only makes sense that he would write a paper saying branched-chain amino acids are trash because, well, he owns the patent for essential amino acids. That shouldn't be a conflict of interest, right? You trust him. He happens to sell the product that he's promoting. Wait a minute. That is a conflict of interest. And what I'll point out to you is that the studies that show that BCAAs aren't helpful are studies that you would never fucking do in the real world. You're not doing IV infusions and after a 72-hour fast or some kind of bullshit. Why would that have anything to do with you? You ate breakfast today and then you ate lunch and then you sip on BCAAs during your workout. You still have food and protein in your body from your previous 2 meals. So stimulating mTOR, because of the consumption of BCAAs, is not going to cause muscle breakdown. It's going to stimulate muscle protein synthesis, and your body's going to use the amino acids that you already have circulating in your body because you're still digesting food. Doubt me? Have some fucking steak for breakfast, and then go stick your finger down your throat and throw up 6 hours later, and let me know if you don't throw up some steak. It doesn't just digest instantly. Where the fuck does that idea come from? This is so dumb. Anyways, the other thing to point out to you is that the interesting fact about BCAAs is as soon as you add glutamine, oh, they do build muscle. And if you look at most of your BCAA products out there, they have glutamine in them. Extend by Civation is probably the most popular BCAA supplement. And it just so happens to have, yes, say it with me, folks, glutamine. So not only does this idea that BCAAs will cause muscle breakdown because your body has to liberate amino acids from muscle tissue, that's bullshit, because the meals that you ate earlier obviously, are going to contribute to your available amino acid pool. You have this splanchnic bed and the hepatic bed, and your small intestine and things like that, and its digestion is rather slow. So when you eat a meal and it's still in your system hours and hours later, the BCAAs don't break down muscle, they just stimulate mTOR and muscle protein synthesis, and you're going to use the amino acids you already have available. Why the fuck would your body break down muscle to mobilize amino acids when you already have amino acids available from eating? But then on top of that, glutamine. You add a little glutamine and suddenly this whole thing works. So, yeah, that's just whatever, folks. That's 3 unpopular opinions. And you know what? We'll call that a day. That's enough. That's 3 things that you've heard recently about, the mind-muscle connection, training to failure, and BCAAs, and all 3 of those, you know better. And if you doubt me, go do it. Try it. In fact, I will encourage you to experiment. You should try training to failure and see if you get better results. I certainly did. I don't like training to failure. I was sore all the fucking time. But I'll tell you what, I made some of my best progress doing sets to failure. I would do something like 80% in the squat, and I would do like 5 sets of 3, and then I would do on my 6th set, I would do as many reps as I could, and then I would do a 7th set of as many reps as I could. 2 sets to failure, and that was my entire squat workout. I didn't do anything after that. That's the whole workout, and I made great progress doing that. And similarly, BCAAs. If you don't think BCAAs work, try them. See how you feel. Surprisingly, you'll be less sore. I know, BCAAs don't work, but yet everyone that fucking tries them says the same thing, especially if you get a good quality product. Infinity Fitness, I believe it's Dr. Eric Serrano, and he has a muscle protein synthesis and 100% MR. I've used that before. It definitely fucking works. Try it. Yes, it's expensive, but before you can claim that BCAAs don't work, okay, you have to try it. And telling me that they're expensive is not a justification or excuse for why they don't work. Oh, they don't work because they're expensive. Yeah, there's a lot of shit that's expensive. It still fucking works. A Ferrari works. Just because it's expensive doesn't mean it doesn't work. Is it worth the money is a different question.